am I your fire, your one desire. Yes, I know it's too late, but I want it that way. I should have been in a boy band, man. I should have been in a boy band.
I thought you were going to keep on going. Tell me why.
Ain't nothing but a heartache. It's a classic.
Oh, man, that's the best. Thanks.
I'm sure my mother will be happy about that one.
She'll be happy with that. She going to watch it? She going to listen?
Oh, she'll watch it for sure.
Probably.
She's probably been thinking about it all night.
How long you been in the business, man?
I started my own business in 2010 when my first son was born.
Okay.
And there were some rough patches. My mindset wasn't really there. But AquaStop started in February of 2020.
2020.
So like peak COVID.
So you had a decade of education.
More. I started doing this. I was on job sites.
Same trade? Waterproofing?
Waterproofing since I was about 20.
Okay.
But just construction in general with my Dio and my Nono, probably since I was about 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you chose one of the easiest trades.
Yeah.
And I'm totally being sarcastic, man. You got one of the
brutal.
most difficult ones, man.
It's brutal. But it teaches you a lot, though.
About life in general and everything?
About life, about work ethic, about old school values and traditions, about being able to wake up early every day with an alarm clock and really seize the day.
Yeah.
Walking with purpose, taking pride in what you do.
Yeah.
It's so I'll be forever grateful for construction industry for sure.
Well, we'll get into it. Welcome to the show, Antonio.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
It's a blast to have you. I know that we've chatted so many times, all kinds of DMs back and forth, and it's always still new to me to like speak to somebody and get to know somebody just through messages on a social platform,
for sure,
and then finally speak to them in person, either on the phone and then get them in the studio and start talking, and then we just kind of click because we're talking construction. So
for sure,
no, totally, we have the same mindset. I have a lot of respect for the business that you built and the quality that you provide, and it's like, it's no joke. You do good work. Period.
Thank you.
That's as simple as that, right?
That's
I'm very
important.
respectful of the crew that you put together, and I think that you can see it in your posts that you genuinely care about the homeowner's home.
100%.
It's not your home, but you genuinely care about that home, right? And you're not doing the pretty things. You're not installing kitchen cabinetry.
That's right.
You're not doing intricate tile work. You're in the dirt.
Yeah.
You're in the dirt.
It's crazy because like even, you know, when we're first hiring guys and we're telling guys, listen, you got to be meticulous. I want my membrane flush. I want full coats of tar. And I know sometimes they're thinking like, but nobody's ever even going to see it.
I know.
But it's just, I'm warranting it for 25-year exterior.
And you don't want to go back.
No, and I don't even want to go back because it's going to cost me money. I don't want to go back because I don't want to look like I didn't provide what I said I was going to provide.
Yeah.
So it's more than just going back and losing money. It's my name is on it, and I feel like it's very important.
We got a lot to talk about. I want to just share all the deets with everybody. Antonio Pereira, right?
Pereira, yeah.
Yeah, AquaStop Waterproofing, www.aquastopwaterproofing.com. And you want to give out the phone number?
Oh yeah, it's 647.
No, I'm just asking because a lot of people,
go ahead,
of people put the phone number on here, and I just like I've done the stupid thing of putting my number out there as well, and you get bombarded. But hopefully you'll get some work out of it as well too.
That's the plan.
Yeah, 647-631-4144, and then his email is aquastopwaterproof at aquastopwaterproof@gmail.com, and then on IG it's at aqua.stop, and then on Facebook AquaStop Waterproofing, and then on TikTok it's aqua.stop.
Yes, sir.
I want to do a quick shout out to Carlos, and I'm wearing his tee, Caveman Landscapes. I've been chatting with him quite a bit. He's been having a good season, which is great.
Yeah.
So I want to thank him for the tee. Unleash your voice on the Construction Life podcast community. Are you passionate about the world of construction, trades, and all things building related? The Construction Life podcast wants to hear from you. Leave us a review, share your thoughts, insights, and experiences on your favorite podcast channel. Your review fuels our mission to create engaging and informative content for the construction community. Your feedback is the mortar that holds our podcast together. So share your thoughts, rate us, and let the construction community know why The Construction Life is your go-to podcast. Visit our website and check out the over 400 tradespeople and construction professionals listed on our site. Check out www.theconstructionlife.com for additional content, behind-the-scenes exclusives, and valuable resources. Dive deeper into the construction world with articles, guest profiles, and more. Follow us on social at TCL_The Construction Life. Subscribe to our video channels on YouTube and Rumble. Check out our link tree and find exclusive discounts for listeners. The link is in the IG bio. Join the conversation on Facebook, the Construction Life community. And that's all the shout outs that I want to do right now. But I want to get into the wonderful world of waterproofing. But you do, I mean, Antonio, you do more than just waterproofing, right?
We do, because I have a broad knowledge, like watching my uncle and my grandfather, and my uncle is probably the best natural stone, flagstone, and interlock installer I've ever seen. So I learned a lot that before even waterproofing, and then waterproofing I took it really, really seriously. But we definitely specialized more veering towards interior and exterior waterproofing, residential, commercial, industrial. But I love to do flagstone. I absolutely love it.
So what parts you're handling everything now?
Everything.
I mean, okay, we're in Toronto, so obviously basements are a big thing. A lot of Americans out in the West End, even in out far as Western BC and everything like that, they don't necessarily focus on the basements.
No.
Sometimes they're building on rock, so they can't have a basement.
Yeah.
But here in Ontario and most of Canada and a lot of the eastern side of the US, basements are a thing. Basements, I've always said it from my early days of social media, I never called it a basement, I called it a third floor.
Yes.
That's the same square footage as the other main floor and the second floor. And why can't you treat it just because there's smaller windows and just because it's below grade? Doesn't mean that it can't be a beautiful space, but that starts with waterproofing.
Yeah.
And the homes are not built properly. And I can't stand it when I just see the bare minimum OBC code crap. This is what it's garbage.
It's absolute trash. Some of the things that we see that are just like builder grade code, absolute trash. No care, nothing at all. Membrane lower than grade. Bituminous not even applied in full.
Yeah.
Pinholes for poured concrete foundations wide open.
Wow.
And like you said, the basement should be able to be utilized, especially now.
Yeah.
You should be able to utilize that as square footage, just like you would your main floor and your upper level. But it needs to be dry. It can't be damp. It can't have that musty smell. It needs to be taken care of. The foundation is the most important of everything, right? So for me, I like being able to give the homeowner peace of mind. Like, listen, your basement is dry now. It's warranted. You can now take the steps to create this space for whatever it may be, yourself, your children, whatever you may be, and have the peace of mind that you're never going to have to go downstairs when it's raining and shop vac a puddle. So it's important. It's very important.
It's funny how that was a norm.
Yeah.
Like, and we all know, I mean, you work all over the GTA, so you've seen, and I've worked in really broken up basements, like rubble stone foundations, no footing, and now the technology is, poured concrete, or you're doing an addition and you have concrete block, and then you do the waterproofing on that side. But I go back to the OBC where I've got a problem that once you backfill everything, it's crazy if you don't do it properly.
Yeah. What's the point?
Because all you're doing now is that it's not going to leak right away.
No.
It may take a few years to leak.
Yeah.
But it will eventually leak.
For sure.
And just because you're backfilling and hiding it and you're thinking, it's completely safe. And then we'll get into, I also want to talk, and I like that you brought up hardscape.
Yep.
You get homeowners that are not necessarily, I don't know if it's their fault or if they're just not educated, or they just look at their property like, here's an opportunity for us to put a bed, to put a planter, to put something that is basically letting Mother Nature back into the home.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's a reason why you see downspouts that are down and then out on an angle away from the home.
Absolutely.
You don't come back and all of a sudden cut that downspout and then put a planter box there and keep on watering that over and over and over and over.
And even if it is, even if I've completely waterproofed the foundation, I would still suggest that doesn't necessarily mean that because you're not going to get water, that you should just add an abundance of water up against the foundation. The hydrostatic pressure alone will cause so much damage to the foundation. But without that waterproofing, for somebody, a hardscape project, they can go for, upwards of $20,000 to $50,000 depending on what material you use. So to spend all of that money to have a guy like me in 3 years, when the water starts penetrating, to come and rip all of that up, it's incredibly invasive. It'll almost never look the same, not for the first 2 years anyways. What's the point? Why spend all that money on that? It'll look great, but don't you want to protect it so that it'll look great for 20 years, where you won't have me come there and rip it up to fix the issue behind that? I don't know if I feel like it's definitely a lack of experience or knowledge within that. You can't blame everybody. Some people, you give your honest professional opinion, they either take it or they don't.
The problem is that your honest professional opinion is attached to a 5-figure number.
That's the problem.
I don't care what house it is. I don't care what part of the city.
That's right.
Your bare minimum, and that's low in my opinion, $10,000, right?
Very
so we're
low.
talking 5 figures, right?
Yeah.
Whenever I quoted it or I spoken to a client that I said, listen, you should do this. And I've dealt with a lot of homes in Toronto where I'm dealing with old foundations, right? I'm like, your bare minimum, 30 to 40,000. It's going to climb from there. It depends on how many things we have to move out of the way. If there's your AC unit or what have you, if you have a standby generator, all this stuff's got to get moved out of the way for us to take care of this problem. But if you don't want to do it because you're hearing this 5-figure number, then fine, don't do it. But sure enough, karma has a funny way of kicking construction's ass, and your basement's going to flood at some point. And flooding is not, I'm not talking about a submarine. I'm like, you could have an inch of water in your basement. Now your basement is toast. You have to fix it a certain way to get rid of all that. Because it's just, do clients understand all these construction materials are porous? Like concrete is porous.
I try to explain to literally every client. It's amazing you said that. Every client that I speak to, I tell them concrete is a very, very hard sponge. It is, the capillaries in that concrete are so porous, it's sucking in water as much as you can. So without that bituminous protection on it, and without that membrane, the dimple board membrane, to alleviate that pressure and allow water to run freely away, you're setting yourself up for, like, that 5-figure can go from a low 20 to a high 70 in a snap.
But there's reasons attached to that.
Of course.
And there isn't a single honest tradesperson that's doing this labor, this work, this scope, that isn't inflaming that number just for their pocketbook. They're doing it because that's what's involved. And a lot of the time, it always begins with hand digging. Because of risks. I mean, I know that you've shared on your post where it's like, okay, we had the markings. All the utilities came. And sure enough, it doesn't matter what home you are. There's always that yellow line that's representing the gas line. And a gas line, automatically mandatory, no machinery.
None at all.
You can't. So it's hand dug. And you got to be cautious with the hand digging too. Because a spade is a knife.
You'd be surprised how easily that shovel will pierce that. And you almost have to feel while you're digging. But
there's nothing worse. Like I heard like that sound of piercing a gas line.
It's terrifying.
Like, it's scary as hell.
It is, especially if the homeowner's home. It is absolutely terrifying.
And basically the whole Fast and the Furious safety crew comes. Fire trucks come, ambulance come, police come, everybody
they
comes.
block the whole street off. People are getting evacuated. Ambridge on site. Fire.
It is not a good day.
No, it's like a scene from a movie. Literally,
it's terrible, right?
And it's
but
dangerous.
That whistling sound. And there's a risk. There's a total risk that if there is an open flame or a spark somewhere,
it's see you later.
And it's not just your home; it's your neighbor's home, and anybody that's nearby in the vicinity. And then there's it's just dangerous. We're not talking that happens, but if you're not a professional and you don't know what you're doing, and you want to just get into the game because you hear that you can charge 7 figures or 5 figures, right? You're like going, maybe you should educate yourself more before you start getting into this.
Most definitely. Like even like I've got a couple of young bucks on the crew, and I'm obviously apprehensive about. I still don't think that they're ready to even trace the gas line, and they're eager. They're young. They want to learn. And they want to be part of it. And so they're like, oh, I'll do the gas line. It's like, well, I don't think you're ready for that. And I'm not knocking you just because you're young, because I was young too.
Yeah.
But it's not even about the charge that Enbridge charges you to put it back together. It's just the safety involved.
It's the safety involved.
It's terrifying. You know, like that whistling sound, even the soil, you see the soil drying up instantly. It's absolutely terrifying. I hit one once when I was about 23,
well,
24.
it's inevitable that the amount of work that you do, that there's always going to be a chance. It's not that it's fault of your own.
No, of course.
It's just you're going in harm's way on a daily basis.
Yeah, literally.
So, and you're still being cautious of how to do it and how to excavate it properly. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
But it also, like, you correct me if I'm wrong, Antonio, it should happen. Because you should prepare for it.
100%.
So then you know how to handle it.
100%. I prepare for the worst every job.
Yeah.
And I also prepare for the worst case scenario for the homeowner every job. Like, you know, there's contingencies that you set up and that have nothing to do with like even hitting a gas line. But as a business owner, I know that there's 500 issues that could potentially happen within the first hour of us being on site. And I need to be well prepared to be able to attack that and tackle that issue like at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
So it's very meticulous, a lot of it, and it's hard, like you said. You got to dig very, very cautiously, but you still have to dig too, right? And then you see a lot of guys, they'll clear the gas line, and sometimes you may be able, depending on how long your stretch is, you may be able to pull the gas line over towards the bank or hook it against the house and still be able to potentially utilize the machine. But even with all of my knowledge and experience, I've seen that done before. Not for me. I'll dig it by hand.
It's kind of like, I don't know enough of it, but I know enough for me to say, I don't know why we don't protect those gas lines much better, because you've got hydro coming in where any new homes that are being built outside of Toronto's just a shit show with all the above wires. Everything's just a mess on the ground. Like it was built poorly because the city was run poorly, and it's just history is just dictated that it's going to continue to be run that way. But now you get new subdivisions that are being built, and they're being a little smarter about running the things on the ground. But I'm just confused how, like, you tell me, what is it, a 3/4 line for gas?
3/4 inch line, yellow plastic. I've been saying for 20 years, why isn't it in steel?
And hydro has a PVC conduit.
Yep.
And I think they've upgraded it now to 2 inches, so then they can start upgrading to 200 amp services. So you have to run the lines through that.
Yep.
So you've got that. I think it's like 3 mil, or I don't know if it's exactly a 1/4 inch thick conduit.
Yeah, it's a lot harder to pierce.
You can like hit it with spade. You'd have to really hit it hard to break it.
Yeah.
But you're right. The gas line is so sensitive. It's easy to break. Why not?
It's extremely easy to break.
Is it a tracing thing? No, it can't be a tracing thing.
It can't be, because I mean, the tracer wire, like even if they just used galvanized steel, let's say, the tracer wire is it's copper. So that tracer's tracing the copper. So you would still be able to wrap that galvanized steel conduit with a tracer wire and still be able to trace it.
I mean, I was always a fan of hard pipe gas runs.
Yeah.
I still am a fan of it. Yeah. I know that it's more work.
Definitely.
I know that threading's a lot of work. I know that it's more expensive if you want to pro press it.
Yep.
I get all that stuff. But when they started introducing Warflex, right, and all kinds of flexible gas lines, sure, it made the trade easier.
Sure.
It made the scope easier. But there was risk. Like, you could, in theory, misfire a gun and hit it and pierce it.
Oh, yeah.
But if you misfire a gun on a cast iron run, you hope that it doesn't ricochet back into your face,
exactly,
right?
Yeah.
That's where, I mean, there's good and bad to certain things.
Of course.
So that's why I think that I guess that it would be more expensive for the utilities to start running the gas lines in an encased conduit of some sort to protect.
I think it definitely would, but I also feel like a part of it is like it's all about money. So, you know, if you do pierce a gas line, the cost that comes with getting that repaired, it's astronomical.
What is it? It's like a $10,000 fine right off the bat?
10 grand. So, and you know, for a small business,
that's a lot.
Even for a guy who has experience, who knows the importance of digging on the gas line, it could be his third job ever. And now he hasn't even made 10 grand yet.
Yeah. He's out of the game at that
done.
point.
Oh,
yeah.
You're done. So you have something like that, you're finished.
Because that's not even your profit.
No,
that's done.
You're done. And even like you said about profit, you know, like sometimes these these potential clients will hear that 5-figure number, and they'll think, well, like how much is this guy juicing me? But your profit margin isn't even that huge to start. So they think you're making an abundance of money, but in retrospect, after WSIB, insurance, you're making nothing.
You're making a decent wage. You're doing
Decent
well.
wage.
But in my opinion, you guys should be charging more
100%.
because of the work that's involved.
100%.
And especially that now we're into the end of fall and we're getting ready to winter. And obviously, I think this week is all minus.
Yes.
You know, we're dealing with minus temps right now. So we know that the ground is getting frozen.
Yep.
So it makes it harder for you guys to dig at that point.
Yes.
It makes it more uncomfortable. Then if you start factoring in rain, it just gets heavier. It gets nastier.
It's brutal.
It's bad.
It gets brutal. The soil conditions, especially if it's raining, you don't even want to put guys in a hole at that point.
Yeah.
Cave-ins, even with shoring, and it's just there's so many variables with the weather changes. I try to veer more towards interior scopes of work at this time of the season until about March.
Yeah.
The odd one will come in where, we do a job for a certain contractor, gives us a lot of work and says, I really need you there. We'll go there. But, like you said, a lot of the guys that are bringing us in to do an exterior scope at this point in the season, they have to be understanding that the cost from doing it now as opposed to in June, it's different because I'm up against so many other obstacles.
You have to factor that in.
You have to. Have to.
I mean, we understand that you want to get your project moving along. The client is pressuring you. You maybe had delays or what have you, but now the client is thinking, let's get all the dirty nastiness out of the way during the hard winter months.
Yeah.
But you remember that statement about get the dirty nasty out of the way in the winter months, it involves individuals being in that environment.
Yes, of course.
And that's a hard scope of work.
It's very hard. You see it in the guy's eyes sometimes.
Yeah.
In February, it's like, guys,
It ain't fun.
Oh, they're looking at me like, man, why? But it's I feel blessed because like we were talking about when outside. Some guys are already on Pogie.
Really? Yeah. So they're already.
Some guys are already. By the time November hits, unless you're doing snow removal, you have nothing.
I know, but then you start. See, that's the whole. Just to stay busy, but is it to busy the mind just so then you won't veer off and think about what's going on? And
for me, no, it would never be that.
Yeah,
because I'm so ingrained into this that my mind will never veer off course. Even if I have nothing going on, my mind is still on this.
Yeah.
But for some guys, to stay busy, just because bills are coming in, because their guys got families to feed. Pogie sucks, shit money. I feel like those definitely play a role into just trying to get whatever you can at this point in the season. But even still, as long as it's something that you're gonna, if you care about the little fill-in stuff in the winter, the same way you care about your everyday business when the season is thriving, you'll still be okay. You'll make it through that. But the winters are tough.
But you also built your business like. Okay, we're talking about waterproofing exterior right off the bat, but there's also other ways that you can do the reverses on the inside where you basically, it's always nice. It's a nice expression to give to the client when you tell them, we're going to let the water come in, but we're going to tell where the water's going to go.
Yeah, I tell them all the time, that's more of like a water management as opposed to waterproofing.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you see their eyes bulge because they're like, oh, so what are you going to do to the wall? Well,
it's not going to sound like a waterfall and you're in a Japanese garden.
That's right.
It's not going to be like that.
No, but like when they hear, you're not making any repairs to the wall. Well, no, because I can't just repair it from the inside. That hydrostatic pressure is going to push whatever I put anyways.
Yeah.
So we're going to be allowing this water to continue to come in. We're just going to mitigate it.
Yeah.
We're going to direct it to where we want to go, which is a sump pump.
Yeah.
And it's going to discharge it away from the house.
That's what you're doing, which is what you want to do.
Of course. Yeah.
That's what your system on the outside perimeter of the home is doing anyway.
Absolutely. That's what the weeping towel's for.
Yeah. So but we're doing it on the reverse because you've spent so much money on the exterior that you've got so many intricate things. Could be a deck, could be a walkway, could be planters, it could be all kinds of stuff that to remove all that stuff is just going to be astronomical, right?
It's very rare that you find a client. Sometimes I do, but it's rare to find a client who's got stamped concrete, who's got Japanese maple in the front of the house, and they're like, you know what, Antonio? I want it fixed from the outside. Do it. Very rare that they're going to tell me that.
Okay, we'll get back to the interview in a second, guys, but if you haven't already signed up for Phil, you should do it now. The marketplace is free and full of great listings. Find closer sites and make soil reg compliance easy. Phil's load tracking blows the competition away. It's a good-looking and simple app. You get a real-time view of all your sites, hauls, and trucks right in your pocket. What if the other guy doesn't have Phil? No problem. They can sign up and send or receive the first truck in 5 minutes. No sales calls or IT guys needed. You can also invite other companies to join your hauls, like engineers, landowners, or even municipalities. Tracking doesn't require drivers to do anything, and there's a 14-day free trial. I bet you can move a lot of dirt in 14 days. Sign up for free on the website at www.getphil.app. That's www.getphil.app. You can also search Phil in the App Store.
But
they've done their homework.
They've done their homework.
Listen,
and it's
yeah, you're right. It's better to do it on the outside.
Of course.
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
But, at least, like you know Toronto. Sometimes I got 20 inches between two houses.
That's the other
I can't
problem.
even dig it.
That's the other problem.
So that's when you kind of veer them more towards an interior scope, because that's really the only way it's going to be done where I'm going to be able to peace of mind warranty it.
I did a job one time in Toronto in the St. Clair Dufferin area.
Oh, brutal.
And I had to get up on a ladder between the two houses. So these are two homes that are literally, the eavesdrops are already on top of each other, right?
Yeah.
And so I had to get a guy to balance the ladder, put pressure against the neighbor's house to prevent me from
Tearing
that way.
Yeah.
Right? So then I can do what I needed to get done to get to the top, because just physics alone, like as you climb,
of course,
the ladder started moving.
Of course.
So when we talk about it's tight. It's tight for even, I guess at that point, you're not even using a long handle spade shovel.
I can't.
Because you can't turn the shovel, right?
I can't. It's so difficult. And again, it's very rare that I'm almost forced as a business owner to tackle that sort of job from the outside.
Yeah.
But when I do, there's so much logistics and pre-planning and digging out in sections. You literally have to have a guy standing there, taking the shovel that this guy in the trench is throwing up, throwing it back. It's, but then there's a premium charge for something like that.
Of course, you have to.
And some clients understand, some don't. But yes, in Toronto, the space that we've got, and then you've got neighbors that hate each other.
Yeah, I was just about to say. I know,
it's brutal.
And you got to deal with the negative clients at that point, right?
And then it's like, don't step on my grass. I don't want any soil up against my fence. Then
they get this mindset argument, which I just look at people and I'm going, where were you educated? Yeah. Like they start going, well, if you waterproof that property, that means all the water that would have went into that property is going to go into my property.
I get it every day.
Okay, really? Tell me your scientific referencing that you're pulling from here and the New England Journal of this crap that you're talking about, because that's not how it works.
That's right.
Right?
Water travels path of least resistance always.
Exactly.
So if your house isn't leaking now, me coming in to waterproof right next door isn't going to automatically just magically make water.
It's not a faucet.
That's right. And water travels down. It doesn't travel south.
What it's going to do is it's going to discover your own problems. So Definitely. If anything, you should become my friend.
Yes.
Because then I might want to work with you. Right. And I'm already there. And especially when you're doing two homes that are so close to each other, you're already exposing the neighbor's side.
That's right. And I'll give you guys both a better deal because I'm already there.
Exactly.
So, and we get that a bunch of times too. A lot of times, honestly, if I'm digging and it's like the neighbor's like, oh, wow, I'm having the same kind of issue on this side. And, well, we're already here. I'm already rubbing up against your house anyways. I could give you guys both a better deal. You guys both get the warranted work.
Yeah.
And you guys have that peace of mind, and it's just done once.
You can and I actually had a good neighbor friend of mine. She was doing it herself with her dad because her dad was a retired contractor, brick mason, super nice guy. And I was always helping her out. But she was doing everything properly, but she didn't do everything at once. She was literally doing one side at a time.
Yeah.
They just it was a shared driveway. Let's break this open. Let's commit to both sides. Let's just do both. We'll get it at that point. And then each season she kept on tackling another side. And then eventually it got all done. Once she got it fully waterproof, that's when she broke up all the concrete in the basement and started fixing the concrete in the basement. Then she turned it into a unit. And that's what it took long. It took maybe 5-6 years of her time to do it. Of
course.
But she was on a path to get everything properly done. And then she's probably one of the few homes on that street that is bone dry.
You see, and she obviously did her homework.
Yeah.
It probably played a big role that her father was a contractor as well. He understood it. But, there's a process and steps for everything in life, including construction. So even if you want to tackle stuff as a homeowner on your own, there's still a process that you would have to take, the same process I would take.
But their process is always vetoed by the cost. Always, man.
Always. It never fails.
Yeah.
And and again, like, you almost can't blame them. You can and you can't, because obviously everybody wants to save as much money as they can. Economy is shit.
I think when it comes to your roof and to your foundation,
you can't play with those.
No,
Of course.
you can't look for the cheapest.
No, it's not like, installing tiles in your shower on your own, watching a YouTube video. It's completely different.
You can do that if you want.
You could.
You're probably going to get a lot of rolled eyes from professionals that know how to do it properly, right?
Yeah, we see it all the time. Like, I hear the craziest stuff all the time. Like, oh well, I saw that I can get this tar in a spray can, and
Oh man,
and you don't know how many.
is it the same stuff that you cut the bottom of a boat and put a
Flex seal,
a storm door? Yeah,
I get it all the time.
Yeah, really.
I get it all the time, and then it's like, I like a client doing their homework. I like them understanding what we do, because I feel like if they watch 3 YouTube videos on what exterior waterproofing really is, they're going to be like, okay, the price that this guy's charging me might not be as high as I initially thought. And then they kind of have an idea of the process, but then they don't, like, there's tricks for everything. Being able to find the source of the problem.
Yeah.
There's tricks to doing that. So it's almost, I don't want to say it's impossible, but it's very, very slim chance to none that you're going to be able to find the imperfections within the foundation that I'm going to find. So you could definitely do it yourself, but are you going to have the peace of mind that it's going to be dry?
Antonio, are you getting most of your calls when the water's already penetrated the home? Or are people being more proactive?
At this point, no. When I first started, and I didn't really have a referral base, and I would get those calls like, hey, it's pouring rain and I got water pouring in my basement. Can you start tomorrow? I get it all the time.
Wow.
Now I feel like people are being a lot more conscientious, I think, and they're doing more homework, maybe because money is an issue. So they're like, okay, I really need to understand what needs to be done. But I get a lot of calls where everybody wants it done tomorrow. Everybody.
It doesn't work like
I can't.
that.
I'm telling people a 9-week window. 9 weeks.
And that's fast.
That's fast. And that's because I'm efficient and I plan according. But like right now, but if you call me in April, I probably won't touch your house until August.
Yeah. So if anything, you want to start looking at the spring.
Yeah.
Their concern, I guess, at that point is all the water runoff that's going to happen come the spring, right?
Everything. And but it's crazy to me how many times I'll go to price a job or do a walkthrough, an assessment, and they'd be like, oh yeah, well, every time it rains for the past 9 years, I've been shop vacuuming.
So
and it's like, okay, well, now you want to tackle this issue, but why didn't you before? And like, why?
Why let it go for that long? And I guess the other thing I was going to ask you is that, are you up against a fight where clients don't want to stay in that property and they don't want to fork over the bill associated with making this house waterproofed?
I get that a lot too. I do. And a lot of some, I don't want to say a lot of the calls, but I get at least 2 calls a week of, hey, listen, man, I got a crack in my basement. I'm selling the house. And one of the stipulations to sell the house is this crack needs to be dry. So, can you come and do a $250 injection and just like lipstick and mascara it? And I won't do it. There's a bunch of guys that will. But it's almost like they
Band-Aid.
Yeah, of course it is. It's like putting lipstick on a pig, right?
So why is the home inspector or the bank or the realtor, why are they signing off on that? That's a possibility for home being.
I think because nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares. A lot of these people don't care, especially if it's not their house. Like, I don't know if it's just society now. I've noticed a lot of differences. I was born in 83, so I grew up in a completely different era.
Yeah.
But everything is just a rush, and about that dollar amount that you're going to get. So it's almost like they wait until the last second. And it's like, oh, well, I need this done by Saturday. It's like, dude, you're not going to see me for 12 Saturdays. It's just not going to be able to happen.
Yeah, but it's just like, I go back to, you shouldn't be negotiating this kind of work. This is important, right?
Yeah.
And the unfortunate thing is there's two different types of homes here. There's the homes that are century plus or whatever. Mm-hmm. They were built a certain way.
Definitely.
Basements were never designed to live in at that time.
Yep.
Right? And so they were built, it was just storage.
Yeah.
A lot of basements had just dirt on the ground. That's what it was, right?
Oh yeah, I still see it today.
But I still, the OBC, it bothers the hell out of me on what minimum standards are regarding that. And I guess they try to pat themselves on the back by adding a sump pump.
Yeah.
You know, adding a backflow, adding all this other stuff. And I'm like, I disagree with rerouting downspouts.
So do I.
I disagree with it
completely.
And their mandate was, we need to do this for every single home now because our infrastructure can't handle the excess water going through that.
That's right.
So that makes no sense to me. So you guys obviously didn't build the system properly to understand that. I think history has dictated that populations only grow.
That's right.
There's more and more people going into urban settings.
Of course, yeah.
So you're just going to have more and more people using bathrooms and all kinds of stuff and more cars and all this other stuff. Right. So start planning this stuff properly and preparing for all of it.
Yeah, I definitely feel like there's a lack of planning, for sure. But I don't know if that'll ever change.
It can't. But then see, you got to be an amazing salesperson because this is a hard sell.
It's very hard sell.
I go back to, it's not pretty, but it's probably one of the most important top 5 things that are addressed in a home. This has to be done.
I could not agree with you more. And that's one of the reasons why I veered more towards waterproofing as opposed to like the hardscape or doing like interior renovations and stuff. Because if somebody's basement is leaking and they want to put new vinyl flooring on the main floor of their home, odds are they're going to call this guy first.
Yeah.
So, and I like to help people. It's always been a part of me is I want to help people. So I would rather help out this family here that's got water coming to their basement that can cause so many different, even health risks that are affiliated with that, as opposed to just going and dressing up your main floor with new flooring and baseboard. So it's kind of the reason why I really focused on the waterproofing, because I'm helping people, and I think it's top 2. Roof and foundation for me are top 2.
Yep, I agree.
I don't even know if I would choose one over the other.
I think they're both equally
as important.
Yeah,
but
but it goes beyond your waterproofing and keeping Mother Nature out.
Of course,
it goes to the point of insulating. It goes to the point of all kinds of getting things ready, because so much coldness comes from the ground.
Oh yeah.
You lose 60% of your heat losses from your basement slab
right away.
Then it's the same. It's the reverse in the summer months with your roof line, right? Yes. So you're getting so much heat coming into the house from the top.
Yeah.
So if it's not properly done, you're just creating more problems down the line.
And like some of these are big problems that you're creating. They're not just small problems. They're huge problems. Like even when I get those people that, oh yeah, it's been leaking for 5 years.
I don't get that.
And it's like, for me, knowing the health risks that are associated with water and moisture in your basement, mold, there's so many things. I feel like you're almost setting yourself up for an even bigger problem that has nothing to do with your home, but with your health, your kids' health. I don't understand it.
But I go back to, how long are they going to stay, right?
That's right, yeah.
I'm very hopeful that the pandemic has taught a lot of people we should start looking at structures as these are forever homes now.
100%.
Because that's what our parents, our generation, like the older generation, that's what their mindset was when they finally found a home that was the correct size for the family.
Yep.
And then family started marrying off and getting out. Everybody was still comfortable for the couple.
Yep.
And we're not talking monster McMansions here and
no.
the greed of North American mentality about excess and shit like that. We're talking about reasonably comfortable size homes.
Yep.
Just stay put. But then you had so many things that you had to get done that you should do.
Of course.
Right. And I really wish that, I mean, I try to avoid IKEA and Home Depots on the weekend because those are couples days. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And I can't, it's like, if I'm dating somebody, you'll never catch me in IKEA on the weekend.
No.
You'll never, because some of the dumbest people go there on the weekend asking some of the dumbest questions and trying to figure out the dumbest things that they want to do, right? And this show will probably never be from IKEA or some shit. But my point where I'm trying to get to is that I want them to stop in the aisle at the Home Depot drywall section and buy that 2 foot by 2 foot piece of drywall.
Yeah.
I want them to do that. And then I want them to put it in the basement. Yeah. And I want them to just spray a mist. Same spray bottle that you have that you put on. You know where I'm going with this, right?
Oh, yeah. I know exactly
so I want them to spray that drywall and just leave it there.
Yeah.
And then come back the next week, spray it again and leave it there. Don't move it.
Yeah.
And then wait as Mother Nature just enters your home. Yeah. And, you know, mold starts to form on the drywall and it starts to collect onto the concrete. Yep. That's what's happening to your basement.
Yes,
every time you don't do anything about it.
That's right. Like you know, to completely neglect that. Again, I don't know if it's just a lack of experience or lack of knowledge of what that is really, really doing, but I see it every day. Completely neglecting it. Yeah. And even sometimes, you know, you get a client where you want to go price a job. Oh well, okay, the cost is too much, and I can understand that. So what are you going to do? You're just going to leave it?
Are there guys on Kijiji selling waterproofing?
There's guys on Kijiji selling waterproofing for $60 a linear foot exterior.
A linear foot?
A linear foot. I screenshot them all the time, and I don't want to put anybody on blast.
No, but how is that possible?
It's not. It's not possible. Like, the material and labor alone, you're already over $60 a linear foot.
It's impossible.
It's impossible. So I don't know if that is just guys that weren't guided in the right direction, that are just starting their business and they're just hungry for work and they're trying to get that referral base. But then how are you as a business warranting that every time somebody calls you? You're not. You can't. Yeah. You can't. In 3 years, that phone number is, the number you've reached is no longer in service.
See, the sad thing, Antonio, is that it looks like they're doing the right job. Yes, it looks like they're doing all the correct steps.
Of course.
But it's a magic show at that point.
Oh, it is, yeah.
There's a difference between, like, I believe in all these steps.
Of course.
That you need to do. And it starts off with the excavation, cleaning that concrete,
prepping the wall,
discovering massive infractions, so to speak, right? Yeah. Like if there's major cracks in there or actual holes, you may even discover, you probably have seen it, cold shocks or whatever in the concrete, right?
All the time. Delaminated sections. Yeah. Sometimes it's not even a crack. Sometimes it's even when the pinhole is the form hole for the poured foundations, sometimes it's covered.
It's a termination, but if water got in there,
that's it. You tap that with the brick hammer, poof, it explodes.
See, people need to understand that the concrete that's used as bare minimum for home construction is not the same concrete that's holding up the Golden Gate Bridge that's sitting in water there.
That's right.
Salt water.
That's right.
It's a different kind of concrete.
Completely different. And then, a lot of the times, like in regards to the pinholes, like pinholes for a poured foundation, if there's no crack, you're getting water in one of those pinholes.
Yeah, for sure you will.
You know what I mean? And so they'll throw hydraulic cement on quick, they'll remove it, but then you have no membrane there, no bituminous, and you backfill on it right away.
Antonio, I wish I could hire the guy that stuffs cannolis to fill those holes.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm talking about.
100%.
Because that person knows how to pipe that cream in there to get to the midpoint and then to get to the other side and get to that midpoint.
Absolutely. And then they would never leak.
Because the kid that's given that task to do that work, he's just surface. It's almost like he's putting nail holes or something like that.
It is. That's exactly what it's like. And I'm like,
but there's a whole channel here. Like, you need to fill this up.
Yeah, you can't, exactly. So, like, when I'm doing a pinhole, I'm not just slapping a little bit on top. I'm pushing that shit in with my thumb as far as I possibly can.
Yeah.
And then I'm coating the top. But, like you said, the prep, cleaning the wall so that everything...
That's paramount.
That is... Yeah. If I don't clean the wall properly, nothing I put's going to adhere. Yeah. Not the hydraulic cement. Fuck, who gives a shit if it's polymer fiber infused? It's not going to stick.
I know.
The bituminous isn't going to stick. Then really, what's the point of you doing all of that work to be able to just find the problem, but then to do a half-assed job to fix it? What was the point?
What's the hurry for the fly-by-night Kijiji $60 a linear foot idiots? Okay, I mean, you correct me if I'm wrong. The hardest part is getting to where you need to get to.
100%.
So excavate.
Yeah.
That's the bulk of the work that's required.
For sure.
Once you achieve that marathon
Yeah.
and you've achieved all those hurdles, take a breath,
Yeah. What's the rush?
plan the game,
Yeah.
and start preparing it
100%.
and spend your time. I can understand if it's like wet and it's rainy, it's cold and it's winter, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But get prepared for that. And
Of
I'm sure
course.
that you guys do the same thing where you might tent, throw a little bit of propane heat and start
yeah.
working because you
Park
have
it off.
You have to.
Of course.
Because you don't want to deal with cold concrete even after you've prepped it and cleaned it.
Definitely
But that's what
not.
I'm saying is like, what's the hurry at that point?
I don't know. Like I was taught from when I started, you're not rushing on a job.
You can't.
You can't. Things take time. Everything has a process, and every step of that process needs to be done the proper way. So you're not gonna go and do like how do I say this? You have to have the knowledge and experience and have the right crew to get to a point where you're able to open and close a full perimeter 120 linear foot in 5 days. With
5
machine,
days, eh?
yeah, with a crew of 4 and a good machine operator, I'll open it, close it, and waterproof it in about 5 days.
Wow.
Weather permitting, obviously. But
But that's you implementing that process.
yes,
Right.
but you know, when you're first starting out, there's no way you're going to do that. Sometimes it's going to take you 3 days just to do a crack repair. But you have to get, and I feel like having the right crew plays a huge role in that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it'll take us 7 days because of the work that's involved. But if you have the right crew and you're efficient, and these guys are really like, okay, they know the next steps and everything's prepared, you can. But I feel like it's got to be money that's making guys want to rush and bang it out, because a lot of time it is seasonal work.
Yeah.
You're trying to get as much in as you can, and that profit margin, the faster you do it, the more money realistically you're going to make at the end of the day. But if you're doing that just for the money, get out of here.
Are the clients like supercharge your construction business with Connect Team? In the fast-paced world of construction, keeping your finger on the pulse is essential. But who has time for the little things that consume most of our day? Upgrade your business management with Connect Team, the ultimate digital toolkit for construction managers and tradespeople. Why switch to Connect Team? Effortlessly track employee clock ins and outs. Ensure your team is aligned with their tasks. Make sure all safety PPE are being addressed and confirmed. Receive real-time updates from the field through digital forms and checklists. No more drowning in manual tasks. Step into the digital era. Connect Team offers a seamless platform to elevate your business management, giving you the freedom to focus on your growth. It's not fiction, it's Connect Team, your go-to platform for 2023 and beyond. Check out Connect Team at www.connectteam.com and on IG at Connect Team app. Are they getting more than one quote?
Yeah, 100%.
So are they not seeing what you as a legitimate person charging versus the Kijiji waterproofing charging? Are
I think they
not
do.
Seeing the discrepancy?
I think they do. Some of them, sometimes I'll tell people, like if I could tell they're a little apprehensive, I'll say, listen, go get 10 other quotes.
We encourage you to do it.
Yeah.
I want you to do it.
I encourage you to do it, because you're going to see the top 3 reputable guys that are warranting their work. They're in this, it's competitively priced, but then you're going to see this guy who says, no, that's cool, I'll do it for $55 a linear foot. I'm not going to warranty it for 25, I'll warranty it for 5. So I feel like with everything nowadays, especially like waterproofing for me, there's so many people searching for value over quality, where waterproofing is the wrong place to search for value over quality.
Yeah.
It
should only be quality.
It should only be quality. And I feel like those guys that are doing for $60 to $70 a linear foot on Facebook and Kijiji, I see it every day. I screenshot it every day. It's scary to know that there's some homeowners out there who are be like, okay, well, you know what? I really want to save this money. This guy the pictures look good, so let's hire him. It's scary. It's scary to know, but
they just don't know any better, right? And
yeah.
I mean, and that's their platform of choice. They get on Facebook, they get networking with their social circle.
Yeah.
And then the question becomes up, yeah, we had a little bit of water in the basement. I think it's going to become a problem eventually, but it's okay for now.
Yeah.
But then they get a really hard downpour, and then all of a sudden it becomes a pothole. And
For sure.
it starts to grow, and Like I know these homeowners listen. I want them to hire professionals to do it, right?
For sure. I mean, again, there's, when I first started, like back in the day working for there weren't that many reputable waterproofing companies out there.
There was a lot of fly-by-night opportunities.
Yes. But now there's still only a little core of really reputable guys that are really doing the job the proper way. Yeah. But then, you see guys where they're seeing like, 5-figure numbers for a whole house, and they're just like, oh, let me try it. I can dig. Because
they probably think that the material doesn't cost that much.
That's right, but the material is expensive.
No, the material is really expensive.
Disposal is astronomical.
Yeah.
It's the profit margin isn't as huge as people might think. Like you're
getting rid of a lot of earth. We haven't even talked about that. You're getting rid of a lot of earth, and
Concrete,
you're bringing in a lot of gravel.
Yeah. Oh, for a full house, I'm bringing in 4 yards just to coat the weeping tile.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's doesn't include filling my downpipes, potential window wells, gravel coating at the top. If I've removed concrete, they're not going to walk in a swamp. I gravel top it. So, and then even like concrete itself, to break up a whole pad, even if I'm only going 30 inches from the house minimum, but by a 40 linear foot stretch,
starts to add up.
It's a lot of concrete to dispose.
You've got a very difficult business and career, because not only do you have to sell the clients, you got to sell your workforce.
100%.
And I mean, I'm sure that you probably have seen a lot of turnaround, right?
I have.
It's part of this trade.
I think it is definitely part of this trade. And again, like when people do a lot of the social media, I get a lot of calls from social media. I don't do any other advertising. Social media, Instagram,
clients
Facebook.
And worker and possible employees.
Clients and possible employees.
Okay.
In regards to possible employees, that has been probably my biggest issue the last 2 years. It's very, very hard to find anybody that wants to do this extremely laborious job, in 40 degrees in July for 12 hours a day. It's very hard. And then I think that, like I've heard it so many times in my life. Oh, like, well, how hard can it be to dig a hole? Well, we're not digging pomodori in your backyard here. To dig a minimum of a 6-foot depth by 30 inch from the house at 40 linear feet. It's a skill to do that.
It's hard. I don't care who you are. You could be the Rock. It's hard. I don't care.
I've seen some of the biggest jack dudes.
Doesn't matter.
And they don't even come back from lunch.
Yeah.
So
they think it's easy.
They think it's easy. So I get a lot of people, hey, are you guys hiring? Yeah, we are. So you have steel toes? Cool, okay. Be here at 6:30 a.m. Let's see what you're about. And then I get a lot of potential leads from Instagram. But I try to make it very prominent on my social media, the type of crew that we have, the way we run the show, because they can see like, okay, this guy's running a tight ship.
Yeah.
Very organized, very calculated, and everything is a process. And they can see that. Like, I post stuff every day on Instagram of just like bituminous.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to show people that this is the process that we do every day. So I'm not doing something today, but at a different house, I'm doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So you're going to see it. It's going to be engraved. If you follow me, you almost have an idea of how to waterproof a house.
It may, for the layman person, look like the same home is being waterproofed over and over.
That's right.
But it's not.
It's not.
It's a different foundation. It's a different
completely
backyard, side yard, front yard, whatever.
And every job is different.
Yes.
Every home is different. The way you tackle it is going to be different for so many reasons. Access, gas line, hydro, water lines, depth. There's so many variables, but the process is the same.
Antonio, am I like wrong to say that you guys probably have the best fulfillment feeling at the end of a job?
No, yeah, you're not wrong. It's very gratifying.
Because it's such hard work.
It is.
To get to the end and know that house is properly waterproofed.
Yep.
And forget the 25, because it's going to last longer than that.
For sure, 100%.
Because UV doesn't touch it. Mother Nature doesn't touch it.
Right.
It's graded properly. Yep. There's a weeper in there now. There's gravel beyond the amount of gravel that you need. So you know that that just satisfying feeling at the end of it has got to be paramount for you, man.
I feel like selfishly,
Yeah.
it's one of the main reasons why I want to do this, because like I said, I love to help people.
Yeah.
I love to help people. So to be able to go to that homeowner and give them the peace of mind that I assure you your basement's going to be dry. For me, and 90% of the homeowners that I do jobs for, they're so grateful that, you know, like they'll send me pictures 3 months later that their basement's done and they're enjoying their basement. Or, you know, like I'll get like the text after like a huge rainfall after we just finished the job and like, Antonio, it's dry. And for me, that's special for me.
Yeah.
It's very special for me. Selfishly, it's very special. But even my crew, like the crews are.
But you can't teach that to the crew. They have to experience that.
Of course, 100%.
And to experience that, unfortunately, you got to put that first shovel into the ground.
That's right. I'm sure it's extremely intimidating. It was for me my first day.
Yeah.
Extremely intimidating. But it's so gratifying after like 2 seasons in. You know, it's gratifying.
It's a different world to excavate the perimeter of a home and to unearth the foundation, get to the footing.
Yeah.
And to discover the mess that was left, or it wasn't done properly, or you're there to fix certain things that have fallen apart because because things weren't done properly.
That's right.
But once you see that, and that's why I'm like, take that breath and just take that pause and just look at what you need to do now.
Yeah.
And now let's, you know, corral everybody, and then let's start working on all the details and going into there and getting it done. Right.
It's very important. Assessing it is so important. Like it's such a gratifying feeling to hit that footing, and to expect to hear that gravel.
It's the best when you're digging and you hit that one, you shove the spade, and then you hit the foot, and you're like, oh, it's good.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, right.
Thank goodness. But then it's also the excitement for me. Like, okay, like what am I gonna find now?
Yes.
What am I gonna do to?
You'll always
rectify
find
this?
something.
Oh, always. Yeah. Always. Especially if it hasn't been waterproofed by a guy like me in the past 20 years, I'm gonna find something.
You have to, like, it's just,
and that's I'm there because something's going on already. So sometimes the issue isn't always as prominent. Sometimes it's very difficult to find.
Yeah,
that's where the experience kicks in, and that's why, you know, I tell these guys all the time, especially the younger guys. For me, the most important thing for me, the whole first year, I wasn't even allowed in the hole. I could dig it, but I wasn't doing any work in the hole. I was top man. I was mixing parge, you know, putting it on.
You're a laborer.
But I was
You're paying
watching
attention.
every single thing. The way they held the shovel, the way they angled it, the way they used their foot to pry, the way they would parge it, cove the footing. So many little things that nobody ever said to me, hey, listen, Antonio, you got to cove this footing. I saw it happening. You have to be a sponge as well. And if you're not, it's going to be a really shitty road.
The shovel is an important tool.
Huge.
And if you don't know how to handle that shovel properly, you're going to create 2, 3 times, 4 times the amount of work that you don't need to create.
100%. You get the ankle breakers. They're not cutting the bank. The bank's veering down.
And there's still ways to fight it if it's wet soil and you're dealing with poor conditions.
Yep.
There's ways to make that mud, that dirt just flick off.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about getting your PAM and spraying it or something like that. No.
Little tap on the house.
There's ways of doing it, right?
Yeah. There's so many little tricks and tips.
That's what the youngers should be paying attention to.
100%.
When they're seeing, because I've always been in awe when I see an older trade and they do their work, whether it be concrete, whether it's yours, or it doesn't matter what hard laboring scope that they do. They figured out those little tricks, and you should be paying attention to what they're doing, and they're doing it for a reason.
Of course,
right?
and odds are they figured it out the hardest way. So you even, without them even explaining it to you, just you watching
They
it.
sometimes can't. That's the thing.
For me it was they couldn't.
Yeah.
Not only because just they didn't have the time, the language barrier. It was just a lot of them is just watch and learn. I'm really busy right now. I have stuff to do.
Just pay attention to the little nuances that they're doing. They're doing it a certain way.
Oh, you see it.
And then they're not exhausted or beaten up by the end of the day.
No, they're not.
You can go in, and I love that you brought up the fact that there's some big guys coming in and thinking, oh, I can handle this shit. And I'm like, listen, pumping iron and pumping construction, 2 different things, man.
Completely different.
Right?
You can never, with my trade, you can never judge a guy on how well he's going to work or how well she's going to work by the way they look.
Of course.
It doesn't.
Totally agree.
I've seen some 50-year-old overweight guys outdig young dudes that are 18 years old. I've seen some jacked guys. I'm just gonna go grab a drink at the gas station and never come back.
I know.
You can't judge it, but I feel like a lot of it is watching those little tricks, because if you're utilizing that knowledge and you're digging at a pace, I say don't rush. Don't try to keep up with the guy who's been doing this for 12 years.
You'll get to that point.
You'll get to it.
Yeah.
Don't rush. Find your pace that you can manage for 10 hours where you're not killing yourself and falling asleep on the way home. Find that pace, and then you perfect that pace. Once you perfect that pace, in 5 years, you're going to be at that 12-year spot. So I don't judge anybody when they come to do the job. I wasn't the greatest.
You judge after they get started.
That's
then
right.
You get a sense. And if
by the first week, then I can start to say.
And if they still love it and they're interested in it, then you can start educating them to become a professional.
100%.
Right?
100%. Teaching the guys that you can see are taking this seriously, I feel like is important for me as a business owner.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the day where I've molded someone and trained someone and they've perfected this, and they come to me and say, you know what, Antonio, I'm gonna go buy my own truck and I want to go and start taking.
That's what you want.
Go feed your kids. That's exactly. I'll sub you your first couple of jobs. I can't wait for that. I had a lot of issues with that in the past. A lot of guys don't want to hear their main guy after 5-6 years say, you know what, I want to go try this on my own. And that's understandable too from a business owner's perspective, but just as a human being's perspective, like, no, I want you to feed your kids, man. I want you to thrive. I want you to survive.
Look at the positive side of it, where you've got another good person doing quality work.
Yeah.
Instead of that person leaving your business and becoming a Kijiji doing crappy work, right?
Yeah. And then, like, again, selfishly, it's like when they ask, well, they say, no, I learned from AquaStop.
Yeah.
So that for me is huge. It's massive. It's selfish of me.
But because you have the passion for this specific trade. That's what it is, right? Like you could, like right now, the electricians and plumbers are all probably sleeping right now because
100%.
It's not their bag, right? It's not their deal. But I know what's good about you is that you see the problems and you take care of the details.
Yes.
And I mean, recently you were sharing some problems where you had hydro running, like, for lack of a better word, butchering just holes and just feeding shit through.
Wide open.
Which are below grade. Like, can anybody understand the term below grade, what that means technically, right?
Below what you're standing on.
Exactly. So if you've got dirt and Mother Nature wet and you got a hole there, then it's inevitable that it's going to get inside the house.
Inevitable.
So you should be a little more conscious if you're that Sparky that's actually making that hole to run that conduit to get it into the panel.
Yeah.
Have a little more, like, either speak to somebody that knows more knowledge about that.
That's right.
And get that insight from them going, listen, how should I seal this up?
Yeah.
Right. You want to talk about the details? Like there's also ways, like, you're dealing with penetrations, you're dealing with window wells, you're dealing with weepers that have to collect water a certain way.
Yep.
Like, you're dealing with all kinds of things that, for lack of the homeowners never want to see it going through the house. They rather it go through the underneath below grade.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah.
But that creates more problems for you at that point because every hole is a possible.
Oh, that's a path of entry, right?
Yeah.
So pipe details, pinholes, no downspouts carrying water in the window well, weeping tile that is either still clay or just it's not perforated all around. It doesn't have the sock on it. There's so many different things that can cause your basement to leak. And sometimes we're up against all 5 of them.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're up against one of them. But the pipe details is... I just don't understand. You're going to come in, you're going to core a hole, run your conduit through, but then you're not going to, like you said, if that's not your specific field, why not talk to somebody and say, hey, listen, can you get over here and close this pipe detail up? Because otherwise, how are you just leaving it like that?
I remember one of my early disagreements in construction where it was with was it a gas fitter? I think it was a gas fitter drilling a hole into the foundation.
Yeah.
And I was confused because he was grabbing a bit that was far greater than the diameter of the pipe.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, why are you drilling such a bigger hole? And he goes, well, I might not be bang on the other side, so I might have to veer off the pipe a little bit, so I need a little bit of wiggle room in the hole. I'm like, then learn to be bang on and drill a hole that's perfectly snug.
That's right.
So we can put the pipe right through there, so then there's less opportunity and we can fill it properly.
Of course.
I don't need you to start baking a cake and icing the hole
No.
to fill in that cavity, right? Like, take the time to figure out, and this is not that long ago, we had tools and we had know-how that
Of course.
you can find out exactly where that hole's supposed to be.
Of course.
And I literally was grabbing the pipe that he's about to install and the core hole that he was looking at doing.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, what's wrong with you, man?
Yeah.
Like, this doesn't make any sense to me, man.
I know it makes their job easier.
It does, but it doesn't make any sense for the longevity of the
No.
property.
But I think that's a big problem. People don't care about the longevity of the property. They just care about getting the work, getting it done, and getting paid and leaving. So I feel like, and that's where I feel like we differ from other people, because I actually give a shit. I actually care. I want this to last long. Like, I have two sons, and I'm hoping that my sons one day take over this business, if that's what they want to do.
Yeah.
And I don't want my son's phone to be blowing up in 30 years. Like, hey, buddy, your father was a hack. Come fix this shit. Like, I don't want that.
No.
So I want, like, the peace of mind for me is everything. The peace of mind for the homeowner is everything. For me as a business owner too, because I'm warranting it, but for the homeowner, like, being able to say that I fixed this problem and I know that it's going to last, you know, it's a good feeling for me as a person, because it just shows that all that hard work that I put in is really doing something to change the problem that's going on. So
I'll always have that argument, and it's just like, I love seeing trades that are so proud of the arsenal of tools that they get to make their job so much easier.
I love it.
But when they lazy out and then choose a core that's larger to make their lives a little easier,
crazy.
I get a little upset. So if I'm on site, you'll see me give you side eye, and I'm looking at you because I know exactly the diameter of that pipe that you're going to install, and I know I don't even need a tape measure.
No,
I know exactly the diameter of that. I'm Portuguese, right? So I know exactly. You don't even need to put a level on there. I'll tell you if it's plumber level,
100%.
right? So I mean, after I take the cores and I start doing the whole Pope, there's a new Pope chime, and I'm hitting them together, and they're getting the dingy sound, and I enjoy that because I think it's absolutely hilarious.
Of course.
I explained to him, you're using this one. You're not using this larger one.
Yeah.
So find the hole perfectly and then get it in there perfectly. It makes your life easier.
Of course.
Later on.
And how could you be apprehensive about perfecting your craft? I never understood. You shouldn't be at all. If anything, you should be enthralled that you're doing that.
If you're spending all this time and money to build this amazing arsenal of tools that you have, then man, look like the rock star and do the job properly.
Exactly. I mean, it's one thing to have the tools to look good, that you have the tools, but if you don't know how to utilize them properly, what's the point of having them?
There's no point of that.
There's no point of having them.
Antonio, I'd love for you to, if you can share, like, the products that you use. Like, I don't know if you can or if you want to divulge it, or if it's trade secret. Like, do all the shout outs that you want, because I want people to understand that this is trial by error. Like, you learned how to use these. You probably took lessons from your dad. This is what the products that were on the plate, like on the market, that he was using, that were working, and it was guaranteed when he was finished installing it. He was looking at it going, this ain't going nowhere.
That's right.
This is going to last.
Polymer infused hydraulic cement. There's a couple different ones, watertight. I get at Home Depot.
Yeah.
I'm using AquaBlock primer and the actual trowel on for my bituminous.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm using just a foundation coating. It depends on what the issue of the foundation is and the quality of the foundation. But AquaBlock every day. Fiberglass mesh yellow jacket every day.
Yeah, I've heard amazing things about it.
Platen paper in regards to the membrane. I'll use Delta here and there, but platen, it's thicker.
Yeah.
The dimples are a little bit bigger, gives more airspace. The Elmo termination strap is a lot nicer. It fits a lot easier. So platen paper. Obviously, the 4-inch perforated weeping towel with sock. But other than that, I'm not really using any other materials. The materials involved in actually waterproofing there's not that many quality ones. Yeah. So, as long as you have a good hydraulic cement, you're installing the right weeping towel, the right size, perforated all around. The platen paper just wraps cleaner.
Yep.
The corners tuck in so much nicer.
Yeah.
But yeah, AquaBlock for me is huge. It's not all guys use it.
Why not?
It's expensive.
So
Very expensive. I'm thinking that's the only reason. Either that or they just don't have the experience in regards to using it. And, it takes a lot longer to brush on the prime yellow jacket and then trowel it on as opposed to just coming in and rolling it with the foundation coating. But, again, I want to make sure that anything I touch is going to outlast me and anybody who owns that house. So AquaBlock is... I think if you're not using the AquaBlock, you're not really waterproofing up to par.
Yeah.
Blue Skin, we may potentially use it on just green concrete, nice and clean. I think there's a lot of risks using the Blue Skin if you don't know how to use it properly.
Yep.
So
when you get into those kinds of membranes, you better know how to roll.
Oh, 100%.
Like you
and
better,
clean.
yeah.
The prep for those kind of membranes is, and if you get a guy that's kind of lackluster and doesn't give a shit,
Yeah.
It
defeats the purpose. You're
redundant.
basically using a really expensive material and then you're installing it poorly.
improperly. Yeah, it's
right?
redundant, completely
At that
redundant.
point, it's worse off. now.
It's way worse.
You're creating a void in the future.
Yeah, and then if you got to go and repair a membrane like that to get it off the wall
pain.
where it did it here.
Are you at that point? You're grinding it off, like
Torching it or grinding it.
Yeah.
It depends on how poorly it was installed. Like if it was installed correctly, but there's like just one little imperfection, I gotta grind that off.
Yes.
There's no way I'm getting it. But if it's one where I can go there in the flap, I can just pull it. I'll just torch it up a little bit, pull it off. If I've got to grind some of it afterward, I'll grind it. But
It's a bit of a pain.
it is. It's a huge pain in the ass. I'll be honest. Especially if it was done relatively well. It's a pain in the ass. And then the cost for that for the homeowner again is completely different. It's higher. Right?
But they have to understand the purpose behind that.
Of
right?
course. So it's very important. Like everything I do, there's a purpose for everything that we're doing there. Everything from digging to backfilling.
And as much as that, I mean, I guess a lot of trades can look at your trade and think that you guys are just monkeys and you guys are digging in the
100%.
dirt. And it's just like, there's nothing that pisses me off more when you spend all that time and effort to dig the hole, clean it up, prep everything, make sure that all the penetrations are taken care of, any cracks are isolated and sealed properly. You're using all kinds of quality material. You're putting the layers on board. You're putting it on the drainage board. And nothing pisses me off more than that top strip not being straight.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
man.
It annoys the hell out of me. Like, I'm sorry. I know that you think and society thinks that you're a monkey in dirt.
Yeah.
At that point, when you're doing that final touch of that product, that scope, you are a finished carpenter.
That's the only thing that they see.
That's the only thing they see.
It's the only thing that they see. I'm so anal about it.
If I see a wave, it just drives me.
I'll tell them to pull it right off the wall.
Crazy.
Pull it right off the wall.
Yeah.
Pop those 3 pins out. Pull it. Straighten that out. Don't backfill until that thing's straight. Because especially if you're putting the termination strap at the top, if that isn't straight, once that termination strap goes in, that clean finish, that's literally the only thing you see of my scope of work.
Yeah.
If it's not straight,
it's a reflection of what you think the rest is like.
100%. Because if you're doing that half-assed,
regardless if it was done all properly.
That's right. It doesn't matter because people see what they see.
Yeah.
So I try to keep my clients in the loop as much as possible. So I take process pictures of everything from start to finish. And I know, I'm sending a client 12 pictures of hydraulic cracks and pinholes. They half time they don't even really know what they're looking at.
It's Chinese to them.
It's completely Chinese.
They just think it's a solid structure. It's concrete. Concrete's concrete.
That's right.
No.
And I send it all. Even with our warranty package, we send a whole PDF file of the complete process pictures from start to finish, and then it's all over my social media.
Wow.
Yeah, I feel like it's important for them to. I mean, a lot of the times, sometimes they're not even there.
Are you letting them know that when you're actually still presenting estimates and looking
100%? I tell them right from the start.
So they get it. They understand that you go with me.
Yep.
This is what you're getting. This
100%.
is how important it is to me.
Because if they've done even just a little bit of homework, they know that the majority of the work, especially if they're at work while my guys are on site, they're not saying anything. But sometimes by a 20-foot stretch with 3 guys, by the time you get home, I'm open and closed already.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't even see it. And sometimes it gets done so efficiently. They're like, there's no way you dug that in one day.
I know.
And well, here's 38 pictures to show you. You know what I mean? It's but it also gives them that peace of mind. And I tell them right from the start, you're going to get the warranty package. It's going to be in writing. You're going to get all the pictures, whatever it is that you need. And then it's going to be all over my social media.
Don't homeowners realize that this warranty package could be included in their for sale sign?
I tell them all the time. I said, how
The value there.
how easy is it going to be for you to sell this home?
Yes.
For these people to come in and say, listen, my basement is dry. I spent $23,000 on it 4 years ago. Here's the warranty. Because my warranty is
Here's
fully
the documentation.
transferable. It's fully
Here's
transferable.
everything.
It stays with the postal code.
Yeah.
So you sell your house in 5 years.
You're getting more value for your property.
right away.
So it's kind of like the flip side of that other guy saying, listen, can you just do $250 crack this?
It is the
fill
flip
it?
side.
And I'm like, the flip side is that if you actually did it properly, sold your house, you may actually get a lot more for it.
I genuinely think dollar for dollar, linear foot per linear foot, you're going to get more return
Yeah, I agree.
on a waterproofed basement
I agree.
than a new walk-in shower.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
I totally agree.
I really, really do. And you know, sometimes when I tell customers that it's fully transferable. So are you planning on staying here forever? Whether you're planning on staying here for the rest of your life or you're planning on selling it for 5 years, either you're going to get 25 years of my warranty or the new homeowner is going to get the remaining 20 years of the duration of my warranty. And that's an upsell for you, even your real estate. I tell real estate agents, their mind explodes. They're like, wow, that's incredible.
Because they're used to Kijiji. They're used to like
or they're
fly-by
used to
night.
the $300 crack injections that you get 1 year warranty on. And don't get I'm not knocking it because if they're
I
done
am,
right,
because I've seen it in new subdivision homes.
brand new.
Brand new homes are
Brand
doing
new.
that, and I'm like, this makes no sense.
It absolutely makes no sense. You'd be surprised how many new homes.
The concrete aggregates and construction industry is always evolving. With an ever-changing industry, it's crucial to stay up to date on the latest technology and techniques. Come to the Canadian Concrete Expo to keep your skills sharp and upgrade your knowledge to meet the needs of today's market. The Canadian Concrete Expo offers over 40 conference sessions, certification courses, stage presentations, and live large equipment demos, all in one convenient location. February 14th and 15th at the International Centre in Toronto. If you haven't looked it up yet, go to the CanadianConcreteExpo.com and sign up for the newsletter to get special show offers direct to your inbox.
Are cracked already.
If they would have just taken the effort to do it properly, that foundation would have been
100%.
poured correctly,
100%.
and then it would have been waterproof correctly on the other, instead of the guy that comes along with the spray can and just sprays everything black and makes it look like it's done.
Yeah. And you know, there's so many lackluster products out there. That
Great marketing.
Amazing marketing, but just the longevity of those, and then
I've never seen a marketer on job site.
never. I don't need a marketer on the job site, right?
So I can't take the word of a marketer
That's right.
selling me a building material
That's right.
for the construction industry because I've never seen a marketer on the job site.
That's right. and odds are the marketer doesn't really know what the job site entails to begin with.
Well, they know on paper.
On paper.
So they know what a structure is all about.
Of course.
And they know where, based on the people that developed the product, where that product should go
Yeah.
in a lab-controlled environment.
Yeah.
They know all that shit.
Yeah.
But they don't know anything about boots on the ground and being in that hole.
Yeah. You see it all the time. All the time.
But okay, so outside of that, you're still doing other stuff as well too. You're handling the sump pumps. You're handling all kinds of
Everything.
Everything
Sump
like
pump,
that.
marine battery backup.
Sump pumps. One thing that I completely 100%, 1,000 disagree with the building code.
Yep.
It makes no sense to me when you said to me that we're going to bring water into the house and then we're going to pump the water out.
Yeah. Why not just deal with it right from the start?
Reroute the water around the house.
That's right. Connect it to your team.
Why do I
want
to bring water? And then now you start developing a whole division where you start charging. I guess plumbers make this money now because you're bringing in Liberty pumps and
Yep.
the backup battery and then the app enable crap that
course.
knows that, listen, our basement's flooding right now. My app's telling me right now it's
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're bringing water inside your structure.
Of course.
Can we stop at the point of let's not bring water inside the structure unless it's a reverse
an
waterproof?
interior.
Yeah. That's a different story.
I was just talking about it about 2 weeks ago. I put a story about it. It's insane to me that I've had about 10 clients, just potential clients in the last month say, well, okay, you're going to do an exterior, but where are you going to put the sump pump? It's like, but why am I putting a sump pump in if I'm doing an exterior scope of work? Oh, well, so-and-so from this company and so-and-so from this.
They wanted a sump pump?
No, they were suggested that they should.
By whom?
By a previous waterproofer.
Well, so because he's getting a kickback,
of course,
to get it done.
So I said it's an extra $2,400 in his pocket.
It makes no sense.
It makes
trust me,
zero.
Homeowners, you do not want a sump pump in your house.
No, you definitely don't. I mean, obviously, if you're doing an interior scope of work, you need that sump pump. Granted, cool, but
an underpinning and injector, different story,
completely different story,
right?
But if you're doing an exterior scope of work, why are you bringing water into the house?
I don't want the fucking water.
And sometimes trying to explain that to them, they're just not grasping the. Well, two guys already told me that I need a sump pump.
They're getting kickbacks.
Yeah. So, but now they think that I'm doing lackluster work because I'm not suggesting a sump pump, and I'm saying, listen, I don't want your $2,400 extra dollars. Keep that. You don't need the sump pump if I'm doing the exterior.
That's kind of like installing a drain in the floor of the kitchen
100%.
While you leave the patio door open while it's a thunderstorm.
Exactly. That's exactly what it's
Where's
like.
the drain in the kitchen, Manny? Because I'm going to leave the door open when it's raining.
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
0 sense.
How about I get a proper door that's sealed
That's
and
right.
then the water won't enter and I don't need to install a drain?
And now you just saved yourself on a drain and
But
the job
the building
was done
code
right.
is demanding now that you have to have this sump pump. It's almost like ridiculous.
It is completely ridiculous. Completely ridiculous. And I'm don't get me wrong. We're doing 30 interior scopes a year, so I'm installing 30 sump pumps a year. But that's only because for whatever the case may be, I can't do the exterior scope. But if I'm doing an exterior scope of work,
different parameter.
Yeah, right? I'm never ever suggesting a sump pump.
I've done my fair share of really dressing up sump pump caps,
of course,
to make it integrate as best as possible. I've done it with the cleanouts as well too, and I've done all that stuff because the homeowner before me decided to put the sump pump in there.
Right.
But I disagree with a part of the code that tells me that I have to bring water into the house and then I have to pump it out.
It makes no sense.
And then you create another problem when we get really nasty cold weather here in Toronto, and you'll get it across the country. It freezes. So
then what?
The actual pipe freezes. Yeah. So now you go outside and you're walking and all you see is this beautiful icicle attached to this ABS pipe. Yeah. And you start wondering, hang on a sec, that's completely blocked.
How is it pumping?
So if it's going to pump, because it will kick in when it hits a certain level.
100%.
Just like your toilet tank.
That's right.
Right? Where's the water going to go?
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to get back in.
And it's going to burn your pump out. Pump's going to fail, and you're going to have to pull the
shop
shop
overflow,
back out. Of course.
And then you're going to flood your basement.
Yeah, pull the shop
and guess
back
what?
out.
Because you brought water into the house.
For no fucking reason.
Other than someone mandating it in the building code.
Yeah.
So I'm going to completely agree, and I will continuously disagree with that bullshit.
I'll forever, ever disagree with that being code to bring exterior water into the house to then discharge it outside of the house. Just keep it outside of the house from the start.
I know the east end of Toronto has major problems with termite-infested homes.
Huge, yeah.
Huge problem, right? Yep. And it's just like, it makes no sense. Like, you figure out ways to build homes in that area of the city to prevent termites from entering the house.
That's right.
You wouldn't create a gardener to let the termites come in specifically so they can get stuck in a trap.
That's right.
That makes no sense.
It makes no sense. 0 sense. But there's a lot of things that just don't make sense to me that I see on a daily basis.
In the basement, like the waterproofing side, or just other parts of the house?
Just in my field, especially.
Well, I've been a huge. I can't stand heat recovery stacks.
Yeah. Why?
I have a major problem with that, and it's just. I did a test the other day. I was just curious because I had a section exposed, and I ran ultra hot water, like full side on the other side of the shower.
Yeah.
I ran it, and the stack is maybe 6 feet away from the shower.
Yeah.
I touched the ABS.
Fine.
Like, it was cool. Yeah. It wasn't hot.
Yeah.
I was like, this principle doesn't fucking make any sense.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that just don't make sense. But for me, I think in my field, the thing that does not make sense the most is the lackluster repair on the pinholes for a formed foundation.
I agree.
And the bringing water in from outside to a sump pump to bring it outside.
Your whole job and your whole brand and your whole mindset,
yep,
and what you educate your crew and your potential clients and past clients is about preventing water from entering the home.
That's the main focus.
Why the fuck do I want to agree with bringing a channel of water into the home?
I never understood it. And like you'll see guys who the house already has their exterior weeping tiles connected to a T. It's carrying it outside. You'll see guys break up and run exterior weeper into a sump pump pit.
I've seen that.
And discharge it out.
I've seen it.
Why? And then it's like, do I even want to touch that? Because now, how can I warranty that? You have a 4-inch weeping tile bringing all of this abundance of water into a pit 30 inches by 30 inches in depth. How can I warranty that?
And to all you homeowners that have a basement and you're deciding to renovate that basement, and there's going to be a specific room, whether it's going to be like your office or a gym or a home theater, whatever.
Yep.
I don't care how well you soundproof it. You're going to hear that sump pump kick in.
100%. 100%.
You will. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. It's true. You're gonna hear it.
Yeah.
You're gonna know when it discharges. And don't get me wrong, like there's energy efficient and quieter residential sump pumps, but you're still gonna hear that.
You're gonna hear it.
You're still gonna hear that. So you have to be fully prepared that, especially if you have a high water table and it's spring thaw, that thing's going off every 5 minutes. So you need to be prepared for that.
And eventually it's gonna fail.
It's gonna burn out.
It's going to burn out, and you have to replace it. And they're not cheap, right? So that's a whole other... I just want to say that's what... I'm not a fan of it. And I mean, it's interesting how that works.
Yep.
I want to go back to... you're going into the winter season now.
Yep.
So it's good that you've scheduled jobs that are interior now.
Yes.
But, I mean, how many employees you got going on right now?
7.
7 guys.
Yeah.
Who's the youngest? Who's the oldest?
I'm probably the oldest. I'm 40.
Okay.
And then the youngest are those 2 18, 19-year-old guys.
Oh, wow.
Young bucks, yeah. Young bucks.
They've been with you for how long?
Alex, this is his 3rd season.
Good for him.
But Alex was only working with us during the summer because he was still in school.
Yeah.
And then he asked me to work full-time. I told him, if you don't graduate, you can't come to work full-time. So he graduated school, came to work full-time, and this will be, in March, his 2nd full season. So he's climbing up. He loves it.
Yeah.
He's climbing up the ladder. And then Sean is 18. He's been with us for about 5 months.
So he's going into the cold.
He's going to be the first.
That's going to be the real test now.
That's the make it or break it.
Yeah.
Alex already dealt with it last year.
Yeah.
Sean, but these 2 young guys are so driven, and I think they see the difference in regards to like working at like the grocery store chain, like their friends are part-time, but then these guys are working full-time, making relatively good money,
learning a lot of stuff,
learning so much stuff.
Yeah.
Like, and I hear them talking about, oh, man, in a couple of years, I think I'm going to go buy a beater truck off Marketplace and I'm going to start trying to take some jobs on just to make that extra cash money.
Of course.
And that's gratifying for me. That's very gratifying for me.
But he also might want to consider working with you too. You can come up with a project and go, listen, why don't you head this one? You take care of it.
And that's the goal for both of them.
Yeah.
For me, just to get their foot in the door to really, really see what this entails. Sooner or later, I'm going to give them the worksheet and I'm not going to be there. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go do it. Prove that you can do it.
Step up.
Mm-hmm. Take that responsibility, that initiative. And, like initiative for me is huge. Like, even if, like, sometimes I know, especially when you first start, like you're waiting for me to dictate what you got to do. But if I catch you staying busy and just doing something before I dictate to you, hey, go do this, it's showing me that you're trying to think ahead. You're trying to stay busy. Your hands aren't in your pockets. Things that I learned the hard way, like, coming up with like the older generation,
Well, the younger generation, if you just take the mindset of what's Antonio thinking about business-wise?
Yes.
What's rattling in his head?
Yes.
Business-wise?
Yeah.
We know what's going on site. We know what the scope is. We know all the steps. We know how this starts. We know how this finishes.
Yep.
But what's rattling around in his head regarding the business, getting the next client, wrapping up the last job, potential work for next year, preparing for the seasons.
Yep.
Like, if they start thinking about all these things, they got no time to put their hands in their pockets.
No.
They got every time to think about, I want to get to that level and I need a person, a mentor. I need someone like him to guide me down this path.
And like that the word mentor for me is huge.
Yeah.
because if there's anything that I can do that doesn't cost me any money and can potentially help somebody, it's mentorship.
Just share. Yeah.
It's so important. That mentorship, again, for me, if any of these guys ever come in 10 years and these guys are thriving in business because of something that I taught them,
that's a great feeling.
Oh,
that's back to the backfill.
It's such a euphoric feeling for me. It would be,
yeah, no, I totally know what you're talking about.
It's so important. And again, a lot of people don't care about anybody nowadays, so if you can,
it's still there in construction.
In construction, so many people coming up where, construction's so cutthroat, and I don't want to see this guy win, and this guy's taking money out of my pocket. But for me, it's such a camaraderie. So I've gotten relationships with guys from Tanner Contracting and Property Max Development and so many other businesses that I would have never even known who these people were.
Yeah.
And now I'm talking to these guys every day just about stuff that has nothing to do about work.
Yeah.
So to have to see that, wow, we just want to see everybody win. We want to see everybody eat. There's so much work out there. It's not that cutthroat.
Man, you younger trades and even older trades that are getting started in the business, you'll just do yourself a really huge service if you actually start making more and more friends.
100%.
Because I guarantee you at some point you're going to have your own property and you won't have the knowledge of everything that needs to be done on that property.
Right. Yeah.
But you're definitely going to want the opportunity to call somebody.
100%.
Not that they'll do the work for you,
Yep.
but a person like yourself, and I'm the same way too, I'll share the information.
100%. And I love it when a homeowner will come and talk to me about something else that they need done while we're there. That's not my expertise. And I said, no, I got the guy you can call.
Yeah, but you'll recommend somebody that you respect.
A solid guy.
Yes.
So then it looks good on me. I'm helping this solid guy eat too. And now this solid guy, I know for sure if he's working on a client's house, they have water in the basement. He's like, no, call Antonio. So that's very important too. Very, very important. But yeah, the brotherhood it's incredible.
It's there.
It's there. It
there.
is there. Unless you're a piece of shit and nobody likes you, it's there.
But you could also go down that path as well if you want to. But I don't encourage that you do it, especially if you're working one of the harder trades, especially going into the winter months. I mean, I start feeling for the framers, the roofers, the concrete, pouring, you guys.
It's rough out there.
Hardscaping, landscaping. It's hard nowadays. I know that they're trying to plan, or if not, they're putting on their plow hoist right now and getting that stuff ready, which is a whole other game. It's always a crapshoot in Mother Nature, how much snow we're going to get.
Oh, yeah.
If we're going to be profitable this year, we're not going to be profitable. It's just
it's a huge gamble.
These are lean months. They're the next 4 or 5 months.
Very lean.
They test.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They
This
test
is this is especially your first and second winter.
Yeah.
When you first start your business, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's absolutely
There's
terrifying.
so much uncertainty.
Oh, it's all uncertainty.
You're not even sure if you're going to survive it.
No.
To make it to the point where money starts to come in the spring.
Exactly. So you don't even know if you're going to be able to float to spring, where you're going to start making some money.
Which is challenging.
It's very challenging. It's terrifying. But if you can get through that, that's half the battle.
I got to do the 10 questions with you, man.
Okay.
This has been a great conversation. Thanks so much. I think we covered quite a bit, man.
I think we did. I think it was a great conversation.
No, I got a lot of respect for what you're doing.
I appreciate it.
And basically, you're doing it right, which is really important, right?
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Antonio from AquaStop Waterproofing, www.aquastopwaterproofing.com. His phone number is 647-631-4144. Are you always looking for more work or more employees? Always, right?
Always.
And then anybody who's listening, they want it done properly, they can contact you as well, right?
Thank you.
And his email is aquastopwaterproof@gmail.com. And on IG, it's aqua.stop. And then on Facebook, AquaStop Waterproofing. And then on TikTok, it's aqua.stop.
Yep.
What everyday sound brings you joy and comfort?
My kids.
How old are they?
My oldest will be 13 next month, and my youngest will be 3 in April.
Both boys?
Both boys, Antonio and Adriano.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's your favorite beverage?
Espresso, water, which sounds so lame, and probably Red Bull. Red Bull.
What is your least favorite tool?
The jigsaw.
The jigsaw,
Yeah. It's hard to be that meticulous sometimes.
It's all about the blade.
That's right.
It's all about the blade.
True.
What turns you on creatively?
Music. I think
Any
music.
genre or?
All genres.
Really, yeah?
Yeah, music is very important.
Country?
I'll listen to a few country here
All
and
the
there.
new auto-tune crap these days? Or
No,
what?
that stuff, no.
Okay.
but music definitely.
What word or concept do you find overused these days?
I'm offended. That offends
true,
me.
eh?
I'm offended. Everybody's offended
Wake up.
about everything.
Every day somebody offends me.
That's right. Nobody
I don't
owes you
give a
anything in life.
shit, man.
That's right.
What's your favorite curse word?
I think the good old "go fuck yourself" always works for me.
It's almost like capitalized.
Yeah, you know.
What's your favorite vehicle?
1986 Cadillac Sedan DeVille, dark blue. That was my first car ever.
Coupe.
4-door.
4-door.
Yeah. Big beast. Dark blue, digital dash.
Got a huge trunk.
Huge trunk.
Huge trunk, huge hood.
Huge hood.
They don't make cars like it. It's funny you bring that up because I saw a similar one, and I was like, I missed the way they make cars.
Yeah, I
before.
do. That was my
miss
first
it.
car ever.
Yeah.
I loved it.
What color blue?
Dark blue.
The dark blue.
Dark navy blue. Plush seats, digital dash.
Yeah, it's like sofas.
Yeah, that's
They
amazing.
were sofas,
It's
man.
incredible. Incredible.
What do you miss from your childhood?
I miss my grandfather in the garage.
Just tinkering away.
Yeah, working. Listening.
That's what they did.
Yeah, listening to the radio, fixing everything and anything.
AM, FM radio with an antenna.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, with a recliner in the garage.
I know.
I miss it.
That's a nice one. I like that
Yeah,
one.
thank you.
If you could master a skill outside of your own expertise, what would it be?
I think carving out of stone.
It's hard.
Oh, it looks so hard, but it would be so gratifying to do something amazing out of stone like that.
It's hard, but everything's all CNC nowadays and computerized. But something about a person doing it, chipping away at that, right?
Insane.
Something about
Insane.
that. Last question: if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at those pearly gates?
Your family's been waiting for you, and your kids on earth will be taken care of.
Nice, man. Absolute pleasure having you on the show, man.
Thank you.
Thanks so
Likewise.
much for making the time. I know you got to rush and get back on the job site. You got what, 3 of them going on right now?
I got 2 open currently, and we'll be opening up another one tomorrow.
Nice.
I
want to thank you. I totally forgot. Thank you for the Christmas tree. I really appreciate that.
No problem.
No, that's nice. That was very nice of you to bring that tree. I mean, I'm going to leave it there for the rest of the season.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope it thrives.
It's there. No, but Antonio, absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. I wish you all the best and love to stop by. I'll stop by your job site one day and check it out.
Please, anytime.
And that's it. Meet the guys and meet what's going on. Just
anytime.
Say hello, right? So
you're welcome anytime. I'm honored that you even allowed me to be part of something like this.
I respect you, so I reached out and I was like, "Come on the show, man. We'll talk shop."
I'll call anytime you want me back. I'm here.
No, you're more than welcome to come back anytime.
I love it, man.
We'll get you back in the spring when things are kind of picking up again and getting warmer.
Yeah,
and the hoodies are coming off. And no more hot coffees.
I'll bring you a t-shirt next time.
Totally, whenever you're ready, man.
100%.
Thanks, Antonio.
Thank you so
much. We're out
much.
of here, Angelina.